Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach.
All right, welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. Today is Laura, but I am co-recording with my husband, Evan. And I think it's been a few years since you've been in the podcast, Evan. And I talk about you frequently here. You share your story. And now that you've been riding shotgun with me and Shelby for quite a while now, even just from our last podcast episode, we were wanting to get you on here for multiple reasons. But before we get into why you're here and what you're going to talk about, what is something that most people that don't know about you, even people who've been following me, what is something that people may not know about you? Start there.
What people don't know about me. That's a great question. I feel like this is the Toastmasters impromptu speech question.
Impromptu is badass. Like impromptu be like script and like, hey babe, what are we going to talk about that's going to be so awesome on the podcast today? I just wanted to throw one at you and see what happens.
Yeah, I think what most people wouldn't realize about me is how much work it is to still be living the life I live. And I mean work, but as in like I still have like struggles waking up early, even though it's like a very much a part of my routine. I still dread doing cold plunges. And even though I do that very regularly, I still have nervousness about going to jiu-jitsu. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for like 6 years, and there's still parts of it that like I still have nervousness around it because it's like there's a risk associated with that. I still get nervous working with clients sometimes, you know, even just like as much as I've been doing it, there's still a newness and a growth orientation that I have that is always wanting to be the best version of myself, and that comes through. And sometimes it can look and even feel, I feel like from the outside, I've gotten feedback where it's like, oh, I thought that was super easy for you. And that was one thing in my book where, you know, just the struggle is still there. I'm still human. I still have challenges. You and I still have our tiffs, you know, we still get annoyed by each other. As much as I share that you are my beloved and I'm so blessed to have you in my life, and I actively create you in a particular way that's like very loving and endearing. There's, you know, we still got each other's nerves, and so I think we're just humans.
I feel like I was going to ask you to reveal something about me, but I feel like you already took this the direction I think would be the most valuable to our listeners. And it's this, and I think you and I both have some version of this in our past, but it's like you get into the self-development thing, you become a professional coach, you go through coach training, you hire mentors that you look up to, and there's like this whole new world that you step into. And I think we all assume that anybody who's ahead of us or looks like they're doing all the things we want to do don't struggle. It's like, it's really funny because all of our mentors that we've met, like the humanness shows up at some point. Like if anybody who looks up to me spent time with us on the farm for a weekend, they'd be like, damn, Laura's moody and like she's kind of lazy. And like there's things about me that you'd be disappointed about, because we are not perfect, and you will never be perfect, and none of your mentors are perfect. And so what I hope comes through is that you can like lower the pressure of what it should look like, could look like, does look like, and just acknowledge that it's going to be some version of what you're doing now in just like a more intentional direction of growth. Like, do you feel that too?
Yeah, it's this recognition of the human experience that whoever you are out there, you know, we can put people on pedestals and think that look up to them in particular reasons and of their lives that we really admire and like, and yet they are still human. They still deal with the same crap we do. And that's a gift in that just embracing our own imperfection. When I snap at the kids and I'm moody or I'm hangry or something comes up. Part of the work, I think, in all of this for everyone that's listening and ourselves is just how quickly can we get back on the horse? And that's
Yeah.
as you get further on the journey, you recognize holding on to the grudge against yourself doesn't serve you. And so like
No.
how quickly can I just get back on? And it's not to dismiss behavior that is less becoming or, it's not our idea of
Yeah.
self showing up. It's like, well, that's true, but everyone has that. And so how do we get back on the horse?
Hmm.
And
Yeah, that's well said. For those of you guys who haven't heard Evan's first episode with us, or maybe you're just tuning in and you're newer and you haven't started at the beginning, I do want to give some context to him and us. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Evan's practice because Evan has had a full-time, well, I mean, a part-time practice for 3 years, but really the last year it's become your main focus as we stopped doing so much real estate investing and real estate transactions. You still manage all of our properties. You mostly manage the farm. You mostly manage the kids. It's not like you're not doing other things, but you're steadily working with clients, consistently working with clients, and just published a book. So you're really like in a new phase, I think, of your coaching practice. And I mean, you've been married to me. I've been a business coach. So you've been around me and Shelby and my sister Amy. You've been around her. So it's not like you haven't absorbed a lot, but your practice looks different than any of ours does. And I think it's really unique. And
mm,
I brag about the way that you've built it and the way that I watch you build it. And so could you share just a little bit about deciding to become a coach, kind of like the journey of it, and then what your practice looks like now, even if you want to get logistics, like how many hours a week, how many clients, what are your packages, that kind of stuff, just so they know. Yeah.
yeah, so the first part of that was the nurse coaching thing. And I was
Yeah.
totally naive to coaching. I was
Yeah.
totally naive to coaching. And so when you were doing that, it was like a full leap of faith. And I knew that you needed to do something different. The hospital bedside wasn't serving you long term. And there was conflict about all of Western medicine and also just like the holistic approach of what we've
Yeah.
embraced as a family and just how we've seen people heal. And that
Yeah.
was the eye-opening part. Again, initially I was like, are you coaching nurses? Like that was the nurse coach, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm a nurse coach. Okay, you coach nurses. So, which, funny enough, it's like what you ended up doing. And,
Yeah.
the first website that you had was my nurse coach, or is that what it was?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, I remember thinking about that when we were like brainstorming all of that is this idea of helping people, and you and I have that similar, being a fireman. I was a fire captain for, worked in the fire service 15 years, and so I had a big heart for serving others, and that was the precipice of how to serve others outside of the fire department. And you kind of opened that door, and you started working with coaches, and what I saw and what I thought was crazy, the amount that you would invest in someone to be in a space around them. And that was, in hindsight, it was like totally not crazy, but it seemed crazy at the time.
Yeah. And,
That
and
was
just
what, like $12,000 or $15,000 for however
for my
long
first
the container
business
was.
coach,
Yeah,
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 $5,000 to fly out to Arizona for a conversation. And yeah, at
yeah.
some point, like you were like, yeah, babe, just double down. Sure, whatever. Like I just trust you. But the first few times it was like really uncomfortable for both of us.
I just had this conversation, and it wasn't around coaching, but it was around the the energy of being down to like just be down
Go
for
for
your
it.
partner. Like it's this energy of like, well, F it. Like, let's just see how it goes. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I'm just going to
Yeah.
invest in you. I trust you. I don't care how long it takes, and F it. Like, we lose everything. We just tried really hard. And this was story, and like, let's go for it. And
Yeah.
that is what I feel like you needed. And also that's like when you started taking off. And so
Yeah.
I saw how quickly that energy shifted in you, and then how powerfully you were serving your community. And it was creating a different life very quickly for us.
Gosh,
So
I
that
know.
was like,
Yeah.
I witnessed that. Yeah. My coaching was, again, the real estate investing and coaching. And so actually been really intentional the last like year and a half of, I used to call myself a real estate investor and a coach. And so it's all about identity. And I remember people saying, you can't really split your focus. And that was like a thing that I worked with my coaches about. It's like, well, I
Yeah.
can do both, but like, where is the emphasis? Who are you creating yourself to be? And if
Yeah.
I'm creating myself as a real estate investor, that's a different version of me than saying I'm a life harmony coach and a
Yeah.
leadership coach. And then I also invest as a real estate investor. So that's a different energy. And so what that looked like is continually doubling down on ourselves and the work we do and how we're showing up for ourselves, our families, and our communities and our clients. And
Yeah.
I got a front row seat of that with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it's been quite a transition. I go back to, I had like really strong feelings about social media in the past, at the beginning. And so you built your business very much online and
Yeah.
you advocate for that. And it's a huge part of, it's really effective for reaching people.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
I was also very conflicted about, I was a super late bloomer to Facebook. I mean, I think I've been on it for like 5 years, maybe, if that. Like
Yeah.
I was very, very late bloomer. And that was intentional because I didn't want it to be like the time suck. And I also recognize my own struggles with social media, and I don't have TikTok because I don't want to like open another door. There's things that, and I was working with another client just recently about like social media is beautiful. And if it's a tool, if you're using it to serve others, or are you using it as a consumer? Are you a producer or consumer? That's the idea. And so you can create amazing contact, connect with amazing people. And that's been a huge gift for me because I have client. So part of my own journey with that is I'm shaping this image of, I had an issue with social media. I embraced it. I started to realize the beauty of utilizing it in a true, meaningful, authentic way and connecting with people. And that can be done.
Yeah.
And it always felt like it was kind of shallow, but you can really connect with folks in a meaningful way and serve them powerfully and invite them into conversations. That's a beautiful, beautiful way. So
Yeah.
half of my business now is that still. And so that's how it started. And it was mostly remote. And so moving out to Tennessee, though, I got really involved with different communities. I'm the extrovert, you're more of an introvert.
Mhm.
And I'm part of jujitsu community. I'm part of Toastmasters. I discovered and love Toastmasters and church. I'm an usher
Mhm.
there. The kids' school, I'm like the social butterfly. I'm coaching all their other sports. And so I recognized that I can also have an in-person practice by
Yeah.
just being the coach online and also being the coach in real life and inviting
Yeah.
people into powerful conversations in real life. And I've had people out to the farm for coaching sessions. I've had clients come out here, and because of the way I've created my schedule, I've been very intentional with that. It's not the most, I can't do that regularly, or at least I say I don't want to do that. I don't want to have back-to-back clients showing up to the farm throughout my week. So it's more of the exception than the rule. Like I don't meet people regularly at the farm, but I can
Yeah.
meet them on one-on. But yeah, coaching people in person is amazing. I've had coaching sessions where I'll go for a walk at the Maryville College, or you can go on a bike ride. You can meet people at the farm. There's so many powerful ways to serve people in real life as well. And so a lot of my online clients, they've been invited to my retreats here too. So there's an element of bringing people
Of
virtually
both.
also into real life.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah. And
How
so,
many how many hours a week do you think you work on your practice now? And what does it consist of?
yeah. Well, that's a loaded question because I'm telling you, my wife, who
Because
is working a
I,
lot,
but I
I
know,
share
what
that.
I'm doing it
Yeah.
for client. I'm not doing it for me. What I'm doing it for is
Yeah.
that you are working on your business while you're learning jujitsu. You're working on your business while you're serving our church and our kids' school and our community. You are working on your business. Like every time you leave the house, you're working on your business because of just who you're being. And so you have an
Yeah.
incredibly efficient marketing plan because you're just doing both all the time instead of like, I mean, you still do posts and you just wrote your book. And so like that took time, but like you're not doing marketing from 8 to 10 a.m. and writing content. And then you're not like scheduled. It's like very organic and very natural and very ebbs and
Yeah.
flows. And I think like that's different than how I do my business right now. And it's also, I think, the way that a lot of our, especially moms who are really active with their kids, who are out in the community, I think they would really resonate with the way that you build your business.
Yeah.
And I did that
So
when the kids were little. I built it that way too. It was harder for me because I'm an introvert, but I built it this way as well. And it worked awesome.
yeah. Well, I can tell you that like client wise, I don't have any more than 10 clients at a time.
Yeah.
And that's virtual and in person. And so that's the
Right.
limit of based on what I'm able to hold while also doing all the other things that we do. You know,
Yeah.
it's the real estate stuff still takes some time. The farm takes time, being the family man and the husband,
Hmm.
all of that takes time. So, you know, there's no more than 10 coaching hours per week, I should say, with 10
Yeah.
different clients. And so I have that's a good balance for me. And that's, we've also adjusted because we're doing the hybrid homeschool. So right now our
Yeah.
kids are doing their homework while we're on this call. And so there's
Yeah.
an element of flexibility that was created in there. And so I can still serve people on the days that I'm off. Like I can connect with people on a day that I'm not coaching, like Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm not actually meeting with coaching clients, and yet
Right.
I can still engage with folks naturally. I just, you know, had jujitsu. I can invite people there and parents there to, you know, read the book and learn about what coaching is and see the impacts that it can have on their lives. So
Yeah.
what does it look like? I love this idea of work and play, and work in your home life, let's say, or play are, it's ambiguous. It's like hard
Yes.
to tell. Are you working or are you not working? Are you playing or are you not playing? And if you're embodying the coach, being that everywhere you go, then there's always an opportunity to connect with someone and invite them
Yes.
into a powerful conversation. And so, and that's not like once you get past the idea that you would personally be rejected. And I went through this too, because these are like our people we
I
know,
think
right?
you were
Like,
less fear of rejection than me. I think you did good
yeah.
with it. Yeah.
And yet there's still like an element of that because, you know, there's people in Toastmasters, or there's people in jujitsu. It's
Hmm.
like if they don't want to, or even if I serve them powerfully and then I invite them into work with me, which is, you know, that takes time. Like we build a
Yeah.
relationship and I need to know that I can serve them and I need to know that they're ready for it and that they're committed to the work. And like, let's say they get cold feet and they're not ready, like that, it's taking work because I see those people to
Right.
recognize
Yeah.
that there's it's not about them, it's not about me, it's not about them, it's just not about, it's the timing. And it
Yeah.
maybe when they circle back, or maybe it wasn't a great fit or whatever, that it's not a personal thing. And it's easier to do that socially, like online, because then you're like,
Because
oh,
you
I just
don't
don't need to
run
follow that
into them.
person, or I don't see them
Yeah.
very often. When it's someone that you know and have relationships with, it's just different. But I also will say that in person's been really beautiful because of the referrals too. And so it's one
Yes.
thing to get referrals online. And I, you know, we get that too. That's basically how my whole business has been created, is
Just word
through
of mouth and
referrals. And
referral. Yeah.
yeah,
No paid ads.
no paid ads. Yeah. And I go back to something that you've shared with me, is this idea, and it works for any industry. It's like you can be the lighthouse or the tugboat. And I'm like, I'm not afraid to be the tugboat by any means.
You are
And
not.
and that's like the tugboat, meaning like, hey, like, let
Come
me get to
here.
know you. Yeah, let me get
Yeah.
to know you, figure out what's going on in your life. And like if I sense, which I usually very quickly can sense, that I can serve them, then I will invite them into a conversation. And that's, it's as simple as that. But if you don't invite people in, then for me, I've been making it about me versus just like really knowing that I
Yeah.
could serve those people.
Yeah. And that comes with
Yeah.
time and repetition and experience. And it doesn't mean that you don't have negative feelings, or there's not residue that you have to work through as things come up. Or if someone's like, yeah, I'm gonna hire you, I'm sending a check, and then they never respond to you again, and you're still seeing them around town, and then you're like, how do I decide to feel when I see this said person? And like, do I want to follow up? Do I not want to follow up? And like, we've had conversations about the logistics of that. And I think that even with experience, you just have a sense of what to do or what to say, or what not to do or
Mm,
what not to say. And then it becomes
yeah.
easier and easier and easier. And so what I want my listeners to hear is that if you keep at it, being a tugboat won't feel like work. It'll just be who you are.
100%. It's a selfless tugboat. You're like, hey, I can just like,
Right.
and it's part of how I show up, and this is the truth, is that I give very unattached
I
all the
know you
time,
do.
everywhere I go.
Yeah.
And that can be seen as like you're giving too much. And yet I never have found that. I never felt that. And it's like I give my time, and I create space on my calendar to invite people in. And it's a true gift. Like there's no bait and switch. There's no like I'm
Yeah.
trying to trick them or anything. It's like, if I can serve you, I'm going to serve you 100% of my just giving.
Yeah.
And because I
Right.
understand that that person might not be ready, but 100% of the time, something else will happen, and the right person will line up. And
Yeah.
I'll get a phone call or an email or a text saying, hey, I've been thinking about this, like, I'm ready now, or something random like that will happen. And it's because I was continually extending this giving.
Yeah.
And, part of our practice, and this is in the book too, of that random act of kindness. Like if you feel attached and you're feeling withdrawn or constricted with your own
With
energy and
money or
how much you're
time.
giving your time or energy, then give, like randomly give to someone, and it unlocks something in us. And that can be felt by folks. And so it's very low pressure. It's like, hey, when this is the right fit, like, because we've been on those weird calls. I've met with other
Yeah.
coaches, and it's like it was very ambiguous, and I wasn't sure what was going on, if they were serving me or they wanted to have me serve them. And then it
Yeah.
was like this weird, like they're trying to sell me, and I'm like, I'm always about serving. And so and connecting, and I'm open to connecting with people too, without even being a coaching session. That's the other thing. So I
Yeah.
can connect with anybody and have it not be about coaching and just connecting as a human. And that's a beautiful place too. And you could find that
Right.
in person, in real life, and in online.
It's it's a felt sense too, I think. And so if you build your entire business from a place of service first, and Hormozy talks about this, who's a business savant, and I hear this just woven into any industry. It's like if you can build your business and your brand on service and excellence, and then there's a lag factor that affects your business bank account, but you can sense that it's a lag. So it is the result of the primary focus or the primacy of your practice, which is service. And human beings can feel that. Human beings feel that when they do sales calls with me, because I'll say, if I think that my course or my programs is the best for you, you better believe I'm going to tell you, I'm going to try to get you to enroll. But if I don't think that I'm the right fit or it's not the right time, I probably can help you anyway get clearer on like what the next step is, and like either one's a win for me. And I think people really feel that, and I like that type of sales. Like I really appreciate that type of sales. It's like I still believe in like overcoming resistance. I still believe that there's skills in sales that you need, but it is advocacy. It is service and advocacy, and it is the feeling, it's the energy behind it, it's the intention behind it. It's not the script, the language, the tactics. It's none of that. It is all that you kind of have to be aware of, because the rules still apply. But nurses are so good at this, when you are trying to be an advocate for a human being's highest potential and you can see it, and you're an asshole if you don't advocate for them. You're such an asshole. You're so
Yeah.
self-centered, right? Like you're so,
it's
what
about,
me? I don't want to be
yeah.
salesy. I don't want to be weird. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to do the work in my nervous system so that I can serve the world. Like I want to make it about me. And I think that because it was so hard for me to overcome when I first started, plus the pressure of like being worried about you and money. And like I told you I was going to replace my Kaiser income in 6 months. So I like put these crazy like pressure on me to like earn. It's like it was not easy for me. And I watched it be easier for you than it was for me. And still, in some ways, I think you've surpassed my ability to do the connecting and the inviting in your everyday life in a really seamless way and balance a ton of stuff and a ton of roles in a really fantastic way. And then, by the way, you guys, about 4 weeks ago, my husband announces that he wrote a book that I didn't know about. Do you want to share about the decision to write a book, not sharing it with your wife until it was done, and like where we are now with it, with the launch party coming up?
Well, this will be good.
You told
So
me
the book is right here. It's 30 Days to Harmony. and
Yeah.
it's a workbook. It is 30 days of different things about leadership, abundance, integrity, and transformation. And I kept it to myself. I kept it close to my chest.
Yeah.
Partly because
You don't want me
I
to poo-poo
listen to
it.
you. I listen to you. I follow you. I know. Um, I can hear your inner dialogue of saying, "Is that the best use of your time? Like, is that efficient or effective?" And I can just hear that voice, and it's not
Yeah.
necessarily critical. It's a truth. Like, hey, are you serving people? Like someone that's a new coach is like, hey, I want to like write a book. I want to start a podcast. I want to have all these
Yeah.
deliverables and like all these things you're going to give to your community, but you've never even invited people in to like have conversations.
Right.
Like
But
there's a place
yeah.
of which, and so I kept it to my chest, and that was intentional because I've been meaning to do it for a while. And so it's like, I'm also not one that wants to not have it come out after I've said it and like have it poo-pooed on. So that's just a recognition that it was this personal thing. I have time carved out. So in the morning, I do my prayers, meditation. I have my own routine before the world wakes up, and that's before you wake up a lot of times, most of the time.
Hmm.
And so there was this element of like this little secret time that I could start this project. And yeah, it was essentially, from inception about a year, but like really just the last several months of like really hammering down some serious time. And then once you knew about it, I was working on the weekends and I was kind of carving
Yeah,
out
that's
other
true.
time.
Yeah.
So there was certainly once it was the framework was there, then you were aware and I was able to put 8 hours on a Saturday and it wasn't a big deal
Yeah.
or something like that.
Right.
So in any event, yeah, this is a brainchild of this way to serve. And that's really what it is. And we talked about once it was like looking like a reality, like, is there a budget for it? What's the budget? And how do you bring this to life? Because the way I wanted to do it was as legit as possible, like have it be a real book, not just like,
Hmm.
this like willy-nilly thing that's not going to serve people. So the idea was to get a real book designer and have
Yeah.
editors and do proofreading and have the just bring it to life. That took time figuring out how to publish it, and I was learning all of these skills firsthand. And um, it's funny the feedback that I've been getting, which is amazing in both sides of it, because I've gotten some critique about it being like very short. And the people that read it really quickly are the ones that have said that. And I've actually asked some people to give me some feedback, even though
Yeah.
having read it not with the intention of taking 30 days, but to read it. And they're like, it feels like a blog. It feels kind of like short and just like almost like it's too short. And that's been good feedback
Yeah.
from someone that's been close to me, and so who I love dearly. And yet they're like, but I also didn't read it with the intention of it taking time. And then I also had a fire buddy of mine who is reading it, and he said he read like the first 6 days in a row, and then he freaked out. He's like, his text was like, "Fuck, I can't do all this. I can't do it all in one time." And he sends me this text about that, and I'm like, "Yeah, man, you can't do all this like in 1 hour. Like it takes time. Like that's part of the work,
Yeah.
and that's part of the intention. Each
Is that it
day has
time?
each day has stories of our life or something that we've navigated as a family or myself. And then it has challenges and reflections. And so each day has a few questions. You can answer them as honestly or as deeply as you want to yourself. There's a place where you can journal in it. And
Yeah.
then there's action, hitting the ground and doing it. So you can't do all 30 actions in one day and answer all the questions in
Right.
one day. It doesn't work like that. And that's how the work with Leon, trusting the spirit, trusting the timing, trusting what
Hmm.
wants to happen. Like this book has that intention of like what wants to unfold. And this book
Yeah.
is part of that process. Um, so that gentleman went back and he's like, now I'm reading it and it's amazing. Like it's one day at a time.
Yeah.
I have, a friend that's every day they say the next day's done and they're like commenting on how it's
That's
affecting
awesome.
them already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's been really powerful. And so that's been a gift to my community, to
Yeah.
Toastmasters, to jujitsu. There's a whole lot of jujitsu in it. There's Toastmasters, there's church stuff. It's also like a testimony of you and I and our journey with infidelity and with
Yeah.
abundance or feeling scarce, lack of abundance, and really it's been a beautiful project too, because it's really gotten me clear about, I mean, I've been really clear about my values, but just articulating them in a really succinct way, like
Yeah.
the my throughout the whole process, I weave faith, family, fun, fitness, and being fluid. And so like that's the framework of which I show up. And faith is most important. Like that's if I'm not good there, then you and I aren't good. Me and the kids aren't good. Me and my health aren't good. And and that's a testament to my own journey spiritually and like the deconstruction that I've done, but also recognizing how it's all unfolding for me right now.
Yeah.
And family, how it's important, fun, super important. And I think most people that know me well know that there's like a lighthearted side of me and a goofball, and I like to just have fun.
Yeah.
And that's what this work it can feel really heavy and overwhelming, like, oh, personal development or this, it can feel
Yeah.
like a lot of work. And it's like, no, well, it can also be fun too. Like this
And
should, because
yeah,
yeah, and funny. Yeah.
absolutely.
Don't ask Addie because she doesn't think I'm very funny right now.
When you were kind of just starting out and getting your first few paid clients, when you like reflect back on that version of Evan as a professional coach, what advice would you have for him looking back from your perch right now?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. First of all, I think I did know it and I would still give it to myself,
Yeah.
and it's similar to the book and similar to like my philosophy in life of how life is like jujitsu. Like you can't lose if you don't give up. Like, and
Yeah.
that is truly, truly, truly the case in so many parts of life. Like, who defines failure? Who defines that we failed? I mean, that's a personal thing. Like society and outside can tell you that you're a failure, but if you decided that you're going to learn from this and grow and like have it be the stepping stone to whatever else is next to come, there's literally no way you can fail. And so like I would just continually give that advice to myself, which I could sense it at the time. And it's still a roller coaster. It's like, still,
Yeah.
shit, do I want to do this? Like, it's hard. That's super hard. Like, there's moments where I wanted to give up and like, I'm like, screw it, do something else. And yet, it's like, if you just don't give up, you'll continually get better and continually
Yes.
grow and continually serve in a different way. And I think that would probably be the advice I would continue to give myself is it's win or learn. And so you know, we talked about this for like in all of my coaching containers and when we were doing co-coaching together about agreements, like you learn along the way, and you just add things in that serve you and serve your clients. And one thing I'll add as an agreement I've added over the last year in particular with meeting people in person is no ghosting. And so like that's a real thing, like because in real life it's like you can feel the energy of ghosting. Like it feel like if someone is like, hey, I'm not ready to do the work and I just don't want to be around you, and now we're in the same physical, it's like that can be really felt.
Yeah.
If we're going to get into this relationship, even if it's a discovery session, if it's like literally, if we're going to connect in this coaching space, part of the agreements to even be in that space is that we won't ghost each other. We're going to say, hey, I'm good with not moving on. And I'm good with that too. But like, it's this
Yeah.
idea by you
No ghost
agreeing to
zone.
that, and that's the no-go zone. It's like, if you're in this space with me, I'm going to challenge you. And that might not be like your cup of tea right now. But instead of like running away, because we all have that tendency, myself included, to like
Yeah.
just get super fearful and run away, like we're going to see each other. And so like we've agreed that you can't ghost me. And so I'm going to pull out of you the version of you that says, I'm not ready to work with you. Like, if that
Yeah.
makes sense, it's not like it's not an aggressive, it's like we are in this place together and we've agreed that we're going to have hard conversations, even in this
Yeah.
space. That's the beauty and that's the magic of this space. We're going to create
Right.
something really powerful together. But that takes a ton of trust. and ton of it, in for
Intention.
meeting each other, we're seeing each other in real life. If we're done or you're done energetically, or I'm done working with you. Like we're gonna cross that bridge, and then
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have any ill will. We're gonna have our conversation, just like when you're married. The best, most powerful breakthroughs are when you bring up a topic that's like been a tough
Yeah.
topic to talk about. And then it's
Hmm.
like the emotional explosion, little bursts of energy that come out,
Yeah.
and then you weather the storm and you go through it, and you're like, oh man, I feel so much lighter and better having just even discussed that.
As opposed to
Um,
shrinking back for years. Like, right. Especially, I love that. No ghost zone. I think that's awesome. I think that's a really powerful agreement. And no one likes to be ghosts and no one likes to ghost others. It feels shitty on both sides. Like it's cowardly. And I quit so many jobs of just like never coming back. Like I'd be leaving. I'm like, I'm never telling you why, and you'll never know.
well, and it's
You
giving them, without that agreement, you're giving them the opportunity to not be their best self by letting fear override. And we all have fear, and it's
yeah.
totally okay with you not being in this space together. Like I'm okay, but we're agreeing that we're gonna step up to that version of ourselves that says no more. I'm good. I'm done. Like running away is not serving either of us. And so it's just
Right.
like
And that's
a
like the
really
power of a no. A really powerful no is just as powerful as a really powerful yes, but a maybe or a ghost is it sucks power from the relationship. It sucks power from each person. And so I love that. That's so cool. Everyone knows what that is. I'm going to ask you a question about me. What is something about me that you have noticed, maybe like these last past years, that have been more difficult than the previous years? Maybe that I don't even know about.
what's been more difficult?
And what have you noticed about me during it being difficult? Because it has not, for listeners in general, with external circumstances, and without going into any detail of the external circumstances, the last 18 months, regardless of how it looks online or how it looks in our bank account or how it looks in our marriage or how it looks at our farm, hasn't been easy. It's been
Yeah.
challenging, extremely challenging. And so I guess my question is along the lines of what have you witnessed in me going through
Mm,
challenge? Because I feel like all of our listeners are going through challenge right now, right? Like very few people are saying,
yeah.
I have no challenges. Life is so easy. Economy's great. My job's great. My marriage is great. My fitness is great. Very few people are in that space. Sometimes you get there. It's great when you do. But I would say, even with me personally and the business and all sorts of things, what have you noticed about the way that I embrace challenge or be with challenge, maybe that I don't know about?
Mm, yeah. I may or may not answer that question with this answer, but
Yeah.
what's coming up for me is it's like a faith thing. And
Yeah.
we have had lots of ups and downs. That house that didn't sell, all the stuff
Yeah.
that was going wrong, rentals and here and there, and a string of no's in my business, and all of a sudden it's winter and their heaters going out. Like
Yeah.
there was a moment where it was like, yeah, this is kind of getting weird. Like I'm ready for this little storm to pass,
Yeah. Yeah.
physically and spiritually.
Yeah.
But I would say what I've noticed is, and this might come as a surprise to you, my own, like I've always felt and sensed and known you are deeply connected to God.
Yeah.
And I, in some ways, admired that in my own journey. And I felt really secure in your connection. And sometimes in my own
Yeah.
connection, there was like hesitancy or nervousness around it. And I would feel the need to like make sure your faith was good, like it was like a sensed responsibility to like make sure you were good while we were weathering storms. And I think what's happening and what's coming up for me is the more that I'm secure in my own journey,
Then
like
you bring.
takes pressure. Yes, it actually provides it for you, like in
Yeah.
which I would have never guessed. And again, this is not like, I just always felt like you were the spiritual leader of the family, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
you were just really well um, secure in your faith, and I certainly wasn't. And I feel like my growth in that has helped shelter you through some of your storms, and so as a family as well. And so I'm stepping more into that leadership
Yeah.
spiritually in that, and that takes practice. I still have my doubts. I still have times where I'm like, all right, God, I'm ready for this to be over. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've learned the lesson. Like, all right, let's move on. And yet there's just another degree of faith that's ready to unfold.
Yeah. Well, that's so helpful that you said that, because I feel like it is, as the coach, as the becoming the coach, or becoming the leader in your community, or becoming the leader in your family, or becoming whoever you're all becoming that you're listening to this, you're all becoming someone, and everything is enhanced by your faith. Like, if that is, like you mentioned it, but if, and faith being non-religious, faith being very religious, like whatever that is for you. Me and Evan are both, like, honestly, we don't fit in any box. So people often ask me, "Are you Christian?" And I'm like, "Yes, if that makes you feel more comfortable with me, then yes. And if it makes you feel less comfortable with me, then no, I'm not." And that's how I'd like to answer that question. So even as we're talking about this, but entrepreneurship requires faith. And it's best not to put your faith in your skills and your abilities, because if you do that, it's finite and you will find yourself backed up against a wall. And so it requires you at some point to outsource your faith and deep trust. And you alluded to it earlier about this willingness to, like, and we've never done anything incredibly risky. There's so many other entrepreneurs that have done so many more risky things, but this, the ability at some point to, like, well, let's just roll, let's go for it. I'm going to bet on it. And if it all falls to pieces, then it is an important story for us and in our growth that we could get no other way. And so even in, like, failure or difficulty, then then it's okay. Like, nothing's gone wrong. So I think that you and I would go back and forth with, like, being the faithful one as we would get shaken by things that were happening. And so it was nice to be able to depend on yours at times. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And that was surprising.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think we're talking a hell of a long time, but
so speaking of faith, and one
yeah.
thing, this one thing that most people wouldn't know about me, at least in the coaching spaces, in the coaching world, is, and I shared a post about this recently, about being half holy and half hood. And so, this idea that, like, we embrace all parts of ourselves. And
Yeah.
so the I can be an insane teddy bear and loving, and also I can rip your arm off and choke you to death. Like, that's the truth. Like, I can be both of those, and really honoring that energy in me and in others. And what a funny little side note is, when I was coming home from jujitsu today, I love hip hop, and I don't, I listen to, like, Forrest Frank, who's like the upbeat, Christian rapper, and I also listen to, like, gangster rap or rock and roll or anything. Today's episode, do you know what number it is?
No.
187, which is, I was a fireman. That's like murder. And so I was listening to Snoop Dogg, "Murder Was the Case" on the way home. And so as an invitation to, like, be our full authentic selves in these spaces, that we can embrace all parts of ourselves. Man, that's the part of the faith and the part of the journey I'm on, is, like, you being you most authentically is what will serve the world. 100%.
Yes.
Like, trying to be anyone other than you. And that's why it's so beautiful, this in person and online, because I'm me everywhere I go. I'm like, I am me, and that can be seen. And I'm also allowing myself to be imperfect, because I am, just like everyone is. And so, that goes to, as we step into this, trust the process, trust who you're becoming, trust that you have gold in you that is serving people. Your journey, the way you're showing up, the work you're doing, being in these spaces, listening to this podcast, like, it's all part of it, and it's serving you, and you're going to serve others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on, like without much planning and trusting the process. And for all of our community who is mostly female, but we're starting to attract a few male nurse coaches. If you're a dude listening to this, like reach out. We need you. We don't have enough. But also, if you women listening, I did this the other day on a sales call. I asked a nurse, she's thinking about certification or thinking about going into our business training, I think actually. And her husband is like, this doesn't really get it. Like, yeah, I understand like this nurse coach thing, like the certification thing, but like, how are you going to make money? Like, what is it that you do? And when you're new, you don't even know how to say it because it's not intellectual. And so I would love to offer you up, Evan, to husbands if it would serve
Mm.
you and your nurse coach journey for your partner to experience from a male coach what it is that some version of what it is that you're going to be doing. I think that when you realize what it is that I did, Evan, it was so much more easier for you to support me because you understood. Like, it's one thing to become a doctor, a chiropractor, or an accountant. Everyone knows what that is. A life coach, a nurse life coach, a nurse coach, like this is an experiential service. It's very difficult to intellectualize, to explain. The what do you do statement usually falls flat, and we teach a different way of answering that. But if you have a partner that you think could benefit from just the experience, I can't promise you that Evan won't enroll them, but I can promise you that that will not be his main intent. His main intent will be to serve them. And in serving them, it serves our community in making sure you have a
Mm.
partner who understands what you're doing. So in this podcast episode, I will put Evan's info so you can check him out. Also, a link to his book we'll put in the episode. And let us know if you have any
I,
questions. And thanks for being here. Oh, go ahead, Evan.
hold on. I want to further plug this book as
Yeah,
an agent for change and transformation. And I've been getting feedback from clients who are buying it for their adult sons and
right.
their
Yeah,
husbands. And it's a very easy, gentle way to like invite someone into like, hey, what is coaching even? What does it look like, or what it could look like, or how does it affect people? And again,
right.
this isn't,
Great.
it's not everything in there's coaching, but there's elements of coaching throughout. And it's
Yeah.
also created a version of me that's showing up. And so, as a possibility, having that book be around someone that you love is opening the door to possibility as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Evan. All right, guys, we will see you here same time, same place next week. And if you need anything, reach out.